MSNBC. You can watch communist, Marxist MSNBC all day long. You will not hear this issue.
And then the guy in the hoodie.
Right there.
Let's try it this way.
Right there on my phone. MSNBC. There's LGBTQ in breaking news right now on MSNBC.
I don't know what that is.
Like, you guys are so easy to fact check.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, I got another debate video coming in, and I'm sending this one out simply for the David Pakman viewers that are going to come in here and try to tell me I'm wrong. Now, I will ask you for one thing right quick. Pay attention to what is going on here, because I'm going to tell you exactly what David Pakman is doing to you. I know I continually have to debunk David Pakman, but please just sit back, pay attention, listen to what is going on, because this is exactly what this guy does. Okay, so now we're going to get into a Piers Morgan debate where Piers Morgan actually brings the facts, and you can see how David Pakman just tries to get away from the fact that he's wrong. He's just outright wrong. He's lying. He knows he's lying, and they prove it outright. Check this out, y'all.
You were very clear to me when we spoke before the election that this whole issue of transgenders in sport and so on was completely irrelevant and nobody cared. Let me remind you.
You're saying Kamala Harris and Biden have come out in support of this.
They do. They support policies which actively protect. They support policies that protect transgender athletes performing in women's sport. And I think that is madness. You're saying, well, because most of these things in this UN report were outside of America, it doesn't matter. It does matter.
What I'm saying, it's a completely contrived issue that almost no one cares about in every single opinion poll.
Wow. Well, the problem is, David, you couldn't have possibly been any more wrong, because the New York Times, the liberal Bible, did a whole piece about the ad that Trump ran, which is the Kamala's for they, them, Donald Trump's for you. They said it was one of the most effective 30-second spots in political history and may have shifted the race, according to her own side, by 2.7 percentage points in Trump's favor after people watched it. Let's take a look at the ad before I come to you.
For prisoners.
For prisoners, every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
So, look, on reflection, David, do you want to admit you were completely and hopelessly wrong about this?
No, in fact, in the aftermath, we figured out how dishonest you were, Piers, during that. And hopefully we can get a little bit of an opportunity. So let me lay it out.
Of course.
First of all, I went back and looked at the UN report in more detail. The UN report said nothing of the sort that you said. What you were referring to dishonestly was one footnote from an anti-trans organization making completely unsubstantiated claims. So I will wait for the apology from you. The UN report doesn't say that, but that wasn't the crux of your question. Second part of it, that ad with Kamala, I would have loved Kamala to respond to it. All she had to say was, at the time that she said that, it was Trump administration Bureau of Prisons policy that that's what's available to trans inmates when determined medically necessary. She would follow the law. You haven't said that. And then number three, Piers, on who cares about the issue, I checked Gallup survey, trans issues at the very bottom. The reality is almost no one's trans. Almost no trans people are in competitive sports, and people do not care about the issue. However, there's a lot of money made grifting about trans this and trans that, even from people on this panel. So I get why they keep bringing it up.
It's funny. He comes in and says what you were referring to dishonestly was one footnote. No, he said the exact footnote. It was a footnote. It was a whole section. What the hell are you even talking about, David? But this is what he does. He said, oh, it's unsubstantiated claims. How do you know it's unsubstantiated claims? Right? They were talking about all the medals that have been lost because of men competing in women's sports. That's what the whole thing was about. He's talking about a footnote and nobody cares about this. Yeah, a lot of people care about this and they voted on these issues. It might not be the top issue. It might not be the top 5 issues, but people do care about it. But he comes in, oh, I went and looked at this and blah, 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 blah. No, you didn't, buddy, because here you go. Here's your proof.
While you were talking, they just went and double checked because I was curious what you were talking about. And we found, hang on, we found the United Nations report. And it's not a footnote, as you said, it's page 5 of the report. It says, and I quote, the United Nations says nearly 900 biological females have fallen short of the podium because they were beaten out by trans athletes. The findings were compiled by the UN's Rapporteur on Violence Against Women, entitled Violence Against Women and Girls in Sport. The report said more than 600 athletes didn't medal in more than 400 competitions in 29 different sports, totaling over 890 medals. The replacement of the female sports category with a mixed sex category has resulted in an increasing number of female athletes losing opportunities, including medals, when competing against males, the report said. So, David, again, would you like to now apologise for being not only wrong about this being an election issue, but being wrong about your correction when I asked you if you were sorry for being wrong?
Look at the underlying source, Piers. I have it printed out
it was
in
a
the other room.
It wasn't a
Look
footnote.
at the underlying source.
It's page
now,
5.
I do want to say one thing about this. I actually agree with a lot of what Brianna and what Dave Rubin said. I actually agree with it. I am not the savior here to do X, Y, or Z for trans people. What I'm saying is I don't actually think I even need to play that role. I don't think this is the issue that maybe you think I believe it to be. So I agree with a lot of what Dave Rubin and Brianna said there. I do think it's important to consider that when Dave Rubin talks about well-funded this or that, his Russian money source just dried up, and he's the last person who should be talking about funding sources. And to be honest, Dave, hold on a second. Hold on. Now Ben's jumping. Everybody's jumping. Hold on a second. I can't even hear Ben. Why would Ben jump in? I'm not even addressing Ben.
Hang on. Now, hopefully you guys see exactly what he did there. He gets confronted with the evidence, and what does he do? Oh, check your sources, but hang on. He's been taking Russian money from over here. This guy is. Look how bad he is. Like, what are you doing, David? You can't come out and defend your positions. You can't come out and say, hey, these sources are bad, and this is why. You've got to just shift to, oh, let's look at this over here. And this is what David Pakman does on a vast scale with almost everything. Cherry picks evidence and then says, oh, well, this is debunked because I don't agree with it. And then says, oh, well, this is actually what happened. And then he gives some unsubstantiated claim about what actually happened. This is what these people do. This is what the left has to do. And this is why people on the right and people in the center voted for Trump. And also why these same groups of people look at reality for what it is. We try to take in everything. Sure, there is evidence that's inconvenient for us. Sure, we try to look at the breadth of everything that's going on and try to base our worldview upon reality. We don't have to cherry pick facts and then place those facts with different context to make up our worldview, to make a logical argument, if you will. We try to go based upon the facts, and that's it. Then we form opinions outside of that. But this is what these people do. They lie, they manipulate, they'll take news stories, and they'll take outlier polls, blah, 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 what have you. He's trying to say that this is unsubstantiated claims. Well, can you prove it's unsubstantiated claims? Can you prove this? Like, if you can't prove it, then shut up about it, seriously, because we're tired of hearing the lies. We're tired of hearing the manipulations. We're tired of hearing about all of this garbage, right? You had tens of thousands of followers leave. Paid subscribers say, I'm tired of being lied to. Yes, you lost. David Pakman lost thousands of subscribers right after the election. And he wasn't the only one, as a matter of fact. Lots of left-wing pundits lost thousands upon thousands of subscribers. AOC, as a matter of fact, I know she's not a pundit, but, you know, we'll throw that one because that's the biggest number, lost like 115,000 followers. It's just insane what's going on right now. People are tired of being manipulated. People are tired of being lied to. They don't want to be on the losing team. So now they're shifting to the right. And rightly so. Right? The left has been pulling people to the left, far to the left. The left has been going insane. They have been going so far as to totally leave the map. Right? They've stretched the left way out. We've all saw that meme with Elon Musk posted a guy standing in the center, and the left just keeps pulling everything further and further left, and now he's sitting in the right wing because they've gone so far left. This is what the country has been trying to do over the past 8 years since Trump has came out. There has been this thing called Trump derangement syndrome that people have fallen victim to. And there's not a good answer as to how to resolve Trump derangement syndrome. In other words, there's no cure. I don't know what the cure is. We can't find a cure because you try giving these people the facts and they don't want to listen to it. They just throw it away. They want their cherry-picked reality. And that's something, you know, we got to get away from that, y'all. We've got to look at everything, even if it's inconvenient for our side. Just like Trump. Trump is very inconvenient for our side. He has done some things he probably shouldn't have done, right? Look at 2020. He should have conceded that election. I know there was a lot of funny business going on. I've discussed that at length, and I've proven exactly why Trump was saying what he was saying. But it just so happens to be that Trump just couldn't come to grips with the Democrats change the rules without notifying the other side to make what was illegal things legal in that 2020 election. He just can't come to grips with that. That is what happened. They changed procedure, and they won that fight. You just gotta suck it up, and let's keep going. And we did that, as a matter of fact, and we won bigly this time. Now, what I will say, people will get stuff wrong. I will get stuff wrong. The news lies and manipulates everybody all the time. However, that is what I do for the most part. I only do these debate videos on Saturdays, just for fun, if you will. But, you know, if you want to see how you're being manipulated, I would suggest watch my other videos. I make 2 videos every single day. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do another one right after I'm done with this one that'll come out in the morning about exactly how you're being manipulated about Matt Gaetz. Yeah, they're lying through their freaking teeth about Matt Gaetz and all this other stuff, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this debate, and there's a little bit more to this, so let's keep going, y'all.
Let me bring in Brian. I mean, Brian, sure. I thought it was very interesting, this meeting between Trump and Biden. They obviously can't stand each other. They've abused each other all year. But Biden did show him the respect of bringing him to the White House and shaking hands, and they talked about a smooth transition and stuff. I mean, that is good, isn't it? After the mayhem we saw 4 years ago. I mean, I like to see that. What I would hope is that Trump, in his inauguration speech, hits a much more unifying tone than he did in 2016.
Right. I mean, I guess we're 8 years into new tone for Trump. It's never going to happen. He is not that person. Biden afforded him every ounce of respect that he couldn't be bothered to show, and that he couldn't be bothered to show Joe Biden or any Democrat over the last 4 years, while he lied about some big lie, and all of these right-wing mouthpieces perpetuated this lie with zero evidence, and then they all just claimed that because Donald Trump was too small to admit that he lost, they all claimed that there must be some fraud, which magically disappeared as soon as 2024 rolled around.
All right,
so there was mass cheating that the Democrats figured out how to do when they didn't control government. But then when Democrats do control government, we just forgot to cheat this time around? The fact is that there is no acknowledgement from the right that for the last 4 years, these Republican officials that are listening to Donald Trump, these Republican mouthpieces like the ones on this panel, all lied because it served their political interests, but now they won't acknowledge that he was lying once it doesn't serve their political interests anymore.
All right, Ben, you've got your hand up.
Okay, so he says that Joe Biden showed him the respect. What respect? You mean like raiding his house for no apparent reason because he took presidential records home? Having the FBI show up with orders to kill because that's standard, right? That's standard when they do that. Yeah, having the FBI show up to a former president's house when he took presidential records home. And then creating these placeholders. Oh, this is secure classified documents or whatever, placing them all on the ground as if Donald Trump just had classified documents strewn all over the place, took a picture of that, and leaked that to the corporate press. Why would they do this? Oh, to make Donald Trump look like he stole classified records from the government. You mean that kind of respect? You mean tossing him through the ringer, just dragging him over the coals for this past 3.5 years of all these indictments, of all this garbage, all the smears, all the threats to democracy, and all this other stuff. He's a Nazi, he's Hitler, and everything. You mean that kind of respect? Like, this is rich coming from these people. I wouldn't show these people respect either. Hell no. No, screw that. That's just garbage, man. What do you expect from Trump? I mean, seriously on this. Sure, we just discussed the 2020 election a little bit, but I'll go deeper into that. I consider it to be cheating. However, it's legal. It's legal. You can do that. Why? Because they changed the rules and changed the laws to make it legal just before the election so they could get away with activists going to Democrat residences to get Democrats to vote by mail. That's where your 7-8 million votes went to. They didn't do that this time because there was no pandemic. The 2020 election was an outlier, and Democrats just had a better ground game. They didn't have that ground game this time for some reason. We don't know why. All right? Now, I understand there was a lot of support shift. That plays a very big part into it, giving Trump about the same numbers as he had in 2020. A major support shift. We won all the way across the board, right? Democrats won all the way across the board just about in 2020. Yeah, they had everything. So now we're shifting back the other direction. And hey, this is a good thing. This is what the country does. We're constantly going back and forth. But to say that Joe Biden has shown Donald Trump respect is an outright lie.
I think Joe Biden, before he goes out of office, I think he should pardon Trump for the ridiculous Stormy Daniels case. I honestly do.
Wait, can I ask a question here?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question here?
Yes.
Ben, do you think that Donald Trump should go through with his sentencing then, because everybody should be held accountable for their crimes?
I don't know. I think the whole thing was a farce. I think the
do you think that
the whole
Donald
Stormy
Trump
Daniels case, I think Joe Biden should pardon him and end the whole thing now.
Do you think that Donald Trump should be allowed to be continued being prosecuted for in the Washington, D.C. case, or the classified documents case, or the Georgia RICO prosecution, since everybody has to be held accountable for their crimes?
No, because I think it's very clear that it says you cannot go after a sitting president, and I think we all know
that's
his
not what
law
I asked
there,
you.
and every
That's
time
not what I asked you.
I just answered the
That's not what
question.
I
I
asked
just
you.
said no. The first thing came out of my mouth was the word no, and then I explained why. You need to listen.
So you said everybody should
no.
be held accountable for their crimes, but not Trump.
The American people just held Donald Trump accountable, and they said they thought it was crap, and they reelected him.
That's not how it works. I'm asking you.
Yes, it is.
You said that everybody should be held accountable for their crimes.
And that is exactly why they have said we're going to wind it all down.
Okay,
That's exactly why.
All right, listen, Dave Rubin has to leave.
See, this is something I can't stand about some of these right-wing pundits. They don't come out and speak the truth. Yes, you want to hold Donald Trump to account with the hush money case? Sure, charge him with that misdemeanor, and that's it. You can't say there's an underlying crime and it's 3 different choices. Right, first off, with that, there's due process violations there because they didn't notify Donald Trump of the underlying crime because they couldn't charge him with that underlying crime. So therefore, if he wasn't charged with that underlying crime, they can't elevate a misdemeanor charge to a felony upon just whatever they make up, they say. He has to be charged and convicted of that underlying crime to elevate this, right? It was in furtherance of another crime. And it was a multiple choice? Come on, that whole thing was an absolute farce. Really, giving the jury instructions, you have a choice of 3 different charges, 2 of them federal charges that, as a matter of fact, they're not charging him with. Nobody in the country is charging him with. But you don't even have to agree upon which one of those 3 crimes was the underlying crime to elevate a misdemeanor to a felony. That's why Everybody thinks this case is bogus. You want to charge Donald Trump with the misdemeanor falsifying business records? Go right ahead. He absolutely did that, okay? We'll say that. He should have wrote on his little piece of paper that he's paying off Michael Cohen for paying off Stormy Daniels. So what? Give him a fine, whatever. Now, as far as all the other cases, I would love to see that Georgia case go to trial as far as Trump, because I would love to see Fani Willis laughed right out of court when the judge looks at this and says, there's nothing here. Trump can't put together slates of electors. They were put together by the state. The state of Georgia did that, not Donald Trump, not Donald Trump's campaign. That's not how slates of electors work. Everybody knows this. It's just outright garbage. But I would love to see that in a court of law. I really would. As far as all the other ones, yeah, you know why Jack Smith is just suddenly giving up and going away. No, of course, if they really thought Donald Trump was guilty of this, they would just keep all this off to the side. The special counsel's office is independent, and they have every right to hold on to these cases until Donald Trump leaves office, and then they can just fire them right back up. But what are they doing? They're not doing that, are they? No, they're just throwing these cases away and saying, screw it. We're not charging Donald Trump anymore because they know that they're wrong, especially with that documents case, which was dismissed. I know you might think, oh, well, that was a Trump appointee. Who cares? Who cares about that? Who got appointed doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if Trump appointed these people. Trump also appointed John Bolton, who is now a staunch critic of Donald Trump and is a neocon warmonger. Right? Donald Trump got rid of this guy because he's garbage. Donald Trump made a bunch of appointments. That doesn't matter. So did Joe Biden. Most of Joe Biden's appointments are absolute activists for the circuit, which is stupid to do, in my opinion. You shouldn't put activists on the federal circuit, for crying out loud. We need to have some integrity in at least our federal judicial system, for crying out loud. These people are destroying and damaging this country beyond recognition at this point. The DOJ has been weaponized so hard. And oh, you might think I'm some right-wing conspiracy theorist. Just look at everything that's been going on. I can give Mark Houck as an example of weaponized DOJ. Okay, you don't know about Mark Houck? I would suggest go look it up. I'm going to surmise it right here, give you a little quick summary. Okay, so Mark Houck and his son were protesting out in front of an abortion clinic. A far leftist nutjob comes up and starts threatening the guy's son. He gets in front of him to protect him and pushes the guy away. Get away from me. The guy files charges. The local DA decided not to charge Mark Houck, and everything was rosy, just fine, until about a year later, the FBI shows up to this guy's house early in the morning, still dark time, with guns out, and carries this guy, arrests him, drags him out of his house at 6 o'clock in the freaking morning over this, and charges him. Like, are you freaking kidding me? This is absurd. The Soros-backed local DA said there's nothing here. But the DOJ goes after this guy because, oh, he's right-wing. Yes, and there are many, 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 many cases like this. Just look, if I have still any David Pakman viewers on this video, listen. In the United States right now, currently, we have political prisoners. We do, absolutely. That is not a right-wing conspiracy. That's not a any-wing conspiracy. That is factual. You can go and look this up, right? The January 6th protesters. Now, I know you might be thinking, oh, the J6 rioters, here we go. Yeah, you go look at the video evidence, and you go look at all the cases. There's a little bit less than 200 people charged with violent crimes for that. For January 6th, less than 200 people. There's 1,500 arrests and like 1,200 convictions at this point. What does that tell you? You do the math on that right quick. That means peaceful protesters were arrested and convicted for January 6th. People Look, video evidence, people walking into the Capitol, peacefully walking around and walking right back out of the Capitol, and got arrested for that. As a matter of fact, some people were let off. Charges dismissed because there's video evidence of cops waving these people in and them coming in, not disrupting any official proceeding, none of that. Not going to AOC's door and saying, "Where is she?" Which was debunked, by the way, because it was all a lie. It was all a lie. And that's all factual. And we can get into Nancy Pelosi and Muriel Bowser denying National Guard for January 6th. Why would they do that? Oh, for optics reasons. Then you got testimony from the chief of police, the Capitol Police chief, saying he's screaming and crying for help. They need assistance. And they were denied time and time again for 30, 45 minutes. Denied assistance. It's absurd. And a lot of those people don't deserve to go to jail. Enrique Tarrio. Now, I understand. He told the Proud Boys to go to the Capitol and protest. But he wasn't even there. And he got 22 years. 22 years. He wasn't even in Washington, D.C. If that's not a weaponized Department of Justice, I don't know what is, y'all. I really don't know what is. But look, if you guys are interested in knowing exactly how you're being manipulated by the corporate press and by people like David Pakman, subscribe to this channel, y'all. And if I could get y'all, smash that like button for me. If you don't mind, I would greatly appreciate that. But I think this video has come to its natural conclusion, y'all. I think I've made my point quite clear, and I think y'all get it. But I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Do you agree with David Pakman on this? Do you agree that the January 6th political prisoners aren't political prisoners, that they shouldn't have went and peacefully protested at the Capitol? Because you can't argue otherwise on that. Now, the violent people, I will say right quick, yeah, the people that were violent deserve jail. Absolutely. Absolutely. They deserve whatever they got. Certainly. But y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.